Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Sagittarius energy. And we're going to use this combination kind of Kipper and Lenormand deck. And then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because it's a general reading. And it's about how different people harness their Sagittarius energy. And Sagittarius is fire sign energy. Some people are very curious. Some people are curious to learn lessons and grow and heal and mature themselves. And some people might be curious about other things. And Sagittarius can kind of represent our more immature nature. We've either learned to have better boundaries against our more immature nature, or we haven't. And Sagittarius is about going on this journey in life to learn these lessons. And some people have learned more of those lessons than other people to temper their more worldly egoic nature of, our shadow nature is vast and wide. It can be immature, prideful, stubborn, hurtful, unkind, jealous, envious, lazy, full of yourself, self-indulgent, really motivated to look to these things of the world that people could make their life about, if that's indulging in things to feel better, or being about themselves or ego or image. And other people were enlightened to the truth that at the end of the story, we have kind of the sudden wealth card, which can be about closing out cycles, learning lessons, self-awareness, insight, transformation and change, and justice and fairness, and the Sith card. And at the end of the story, we have emotionally, because the feminine figures talk about how we think and feel, emotionally growing and maturing ourselves. So the people who learn to temper their more immature nature, because otherwise you kind of become a slave to your more immature nature, and your more immature nature is kind of like aligning with your shadow nature, which is the big picture is kind of represented by the devil. It kind of makes a slave of you. All those things that you could emotionally indulge in or make your life about that you love. The courtship card reminds me of like Cancer, Gemini energy, which is kind of about our truth of what we love. Some people are investing in things that are dead. The Sith card is like the death card in tarot, but they don't maybe know it, and they don't realize that those things that they're making so important maybe aren't going to make them as happy as they think, because it's truth and love and justice and fairness and growing and healing and maturing ourselves that can really make us feel stable and grounded, balanced, and abundant within ourselves. And if we're not feeling proud of ourselves by tempering our more immature nature, we know we're indulging in it, but we do it anyway, and we kind of become a slave to it. And then we could maybe not be very proud of ourselves, but we could indulge in those things and say we're living the dream life. Or we can make our life about all these things of the world, and then we have all those things, but we don't have love. And if we make it all about ourselves, we could think I'm living the dream life. It's all more about me, but they might not have people in their life who love them. They might indulge them for those things of the world. It's knowing that you're in relationships with people, growing and healing and maturing yourself, in relationships with other people who want to be in a relationship with you because you're stable, grounded, loving, just, and fair. And other people are willing to settle for not that and make it about these other things, and they think that's what will make them happy. I just don't know that it really will. But let's go look at what's going on in Sagittarius. Yeah. Kind of in the unlocking card is kind of, the masculine cards could represent us operating from our more worldly egoic nature. So some people think that's the way to go. That's their truth. They're going to be more about themselves, more about these things of the world. And it is kind of maybe being a bad parent to themselves, indulging their more immature nature, codependent nature, fearful nature, whatever, trying to get in relationships with other people who might indulge their more worldly nature, codependent nature, immature nature. And some people just like to be in more codependent relationships where they seem like the more emotionally mature, stable, grounded person in comparison to the people they're in a relationship with, hoping those people will kind of make them God in their life and stay codependent on them all their life. Well, then it's kind of like knowing someone is staying in a relationship maybe because they don't love themselves, don't feel stable and grounded within themselves, are more codependent. Again, I don't know that that's something to be proud of. But for some people, they're sure that will make them happy. And other people, you could kind of look at the child card as your creative, inspired nature. You know, you're either aligning with your more fearful, codependent, worldly nature or your more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And some people are going, the masculine cards can represent how we're taking action in the world and how we're presenting ourselves. Some people are trying to present themselves like they hold the key. Other people should want to be in friendship and relationship with them. Their dreams will come into reality with them. But they offer them more of these things of the world. Other people can look very stable or abundant and grounded, but those people are motivated and inspired by truth and love, willing to change, willing to grow, willing to get out of their ego nature. The other people could be unwilling to get out of this can represent like the 10, this being like the 10 of Pentacles. There's some people in the world, you know, they want these things just like the rest of us. They want to be in friendship and relationship, have some of these things of the world that we can all want, right? But they don't want to do love, or they don't want other people to love themselves and be more codependent on them, and they like to play like the role of being a loving and nurturing person in people's life, and but they don't really want the other people to love themselves, because then those people would close out a cycle. They'd work through fears or insecurities or past pain and heartbreak, and they'd be ready to give birth to something new. The child can represent giving birth to something new. But they don't really want to give birth to something new. They want to keep indulging themselves, investing in this way of living life, never changing. It's like they stay at a certain phase in the 10 of Pentacles, but they're unwilling to work through their issues to really shed some of those things. That's what the death card can talk about. I see what things need to be let go of. Some bad habits, traits, characteristics, ways of viewing myself, ways of viewing the world, past pain and heartbreak. They don't want to do that. You'd have to offer love to those things. Love helps us give birth to something new. And that they maybe live more from their mind than their heart or their defensive egoic nature, instead of getting more balanced with their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature. They could live much more from making decisions, more from this worldly perspective, a death to emotionally growing and maturing themselves, a death to giving birth to anything new. They have this way of living life and viewing life, and it doesn't matter. They get in a new friendship, they get in a new relationship, they get a new job. They are unwilling to change. Could they be smart, intelligent, attractive, or whatever in a lot of ways? Yeah, but they don't want to give birth to anything new. Other people do want to give birth to something new because that is part of life. You go through these stages, you learn lessons. When you get to the end of a cycle, you've kind of learned what you needed to learn at that phase of life. If you keep living that phase of life over and over and over, you know, it becomes dead and stagnant. You're not willing to give birth to anything new emotionally. And for some people, they're happy with that, and other people aren't. It's like, no, we kind of learned everything we needed to learn here. Now it's time, out of love for ourselves, to be willing to see kind of what needs to be let go of See what are the good building blocks, what aren't such good building blocks. See the truth. The wealthy woman reminds me of the Queen of Pentacles. And when someone is holding one pentacle in high vibe, it means they kind of saw the truth of something that is stopping them. Death. What is it that I have a fear of letting go of, which can just be my own more worldly, egoic, immature, codependent, or past pain and heartbreak, or self-limiting beliefs, anything. What is it that keeps stopping me from moving forward in life, facing my fears, so I can give birth to the next phase of my life? Some people are inspired in their Sagittarius energy to wrap their brain around those things. They don't like feeling that those things manipulate them and that their life stays kind of dead and stagnant. I want to keep growing and healing and maturing myself. I have that curious part of myself. There's so many lessons to learn in life, and I want to learn them. I want to keep freeing myself from more things that manipulate me. Let's go on the adventure. That's high vibe Sagittarius. And other people are like, nope, I just need to find someone who will kind of do it more the way they want to do it. Because if you're going to work together with other people to bring a dream into reality, it should be a mix of their dream and your dream. And everybody has to be willing to kind of sacrifice some things to bring that new thing into reality. And again, some people kind of shadowy energy can be trying to create the illusion they're willing to do that. So they get in new jobs, friendships, or relationships, create the illusion that they're willing to move forward and give birth to something new, but they're not. They have their way of doing it. And it can take quite a while for people to work with them, for people to realize that there are things that stop them from giving birth to something new emotionally. And it's probably the exact same thing other people found. There's a way of living life, or way of viewing life, that they are unwilling to detach from. And part of that can be that it could just be, our shadow nature is just being more about ourselves. I'm kind of more about me. And I kind of want it to be more about me. Or I have these things I indulge in that I like to indulge in that they think are just and fair. Again, it can be ways of acting, ways of behaving. Other people end up kind of having a problem with it. Maybe because they have different ideas of what they think is just and fair, of how to interact with people or treat people, or things that they overindulge in, or things they make too important in their life. Or maybe they're more codependent on their friend group or their original family. High vibe energy is about being more independent, working through these, to live your more authentic truth. We can have our friends and our family, but to respect each other as individuals. We're not, children anymore. But what some people, they could have love for some people in their life, and they could be more codependent on those people. They maybe can't marry those people or be in a romantic relationship with them, and they want to maybe be in a relationship or a marriage or a romantic relationship, but they're still more codependent on some other foundation is the primary foundation in their life, or just being more about themselves. So next we have the Ring card, which, like the Queen of Pentacles, I view as Taurus energy. Then we have the Marriage card, which is kind of like the Two of Cups and Gemini. Again, what is my truth? I want to be in a relationship. Everybody can like to be in a relationship. Want to work together with people to manifest something. But what some people, again, want to manifest, some people just want to be married. Some people just want to be in a relationship. And it can be more out of, I'm codependent, makes me feel more stable and grounded. I want to be in a relationship to feel more grounded and stable within myself. I want status or ego or image. It doesn't have anything to do with love. And the difference can be in the middle, we have the fortune teller, which I kind of view that as our own kind of inner voice. Which one do we listen to? We have our more shadowy inner voice that tells us don't trust other people. Um, you don't have to grow up and mature yourself. You don't have to temper your ego. You can manipulate people. And some people who are more shadowy, they could view the world that everybody is just out for themselves and everybody's just manipulating other people and everybody's more driven. If they don't believe in love and they think in a world of duality of free will, which is what Gemini talks about, we have the free will to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature or reject that and say, nope, I need to make my life more about these things of the world, more about me or my defensive nature, self-protective nature. Love, I get hurt doing that. Or I don't even believe in love. I think everybody lives more from their mind than their heart. I think everybody is trying to manipulate everyone else. And people who think that way might know not everyone thinks that way. They might think people do, but that other people just try to create an illusion that they're more motivated by love, but they could definitely think that way. And then, some of them have just learned to, shadowy energy can be like putting on a show, playing a role. And for some people, that's what they do. It's all creating a show, you know. I want to look like, the photograph card can be, people have worked with other people who are more just, more fair, more loving. So then they go out in the world trying to mimic that. It's like the devil trying to present themselves like they're God, right? And the devil tries to tempt us in our more worldly nature. We as a human being, we live in our vessel. We have the free will to align with our more shadowy nature, our more high vibe nature. And we as human beings have the free will to, in our Gemini nature, to decide which one do we more align with. And we live in a world of duality where there's all these emotions and feelings and thoughts that we can align with. And we can burp it, feed it, coddle it, and grow it up into a monster, or to be an emotionally mature, loving person. Just, fair, stable, grounded, self-aware, insightful. Or we can choose to reject that. So the shadowy force, the dueling forces of the world are kind of battling for how we're going to play out our life. Some people have already been, we've all went through stages of life where we've been in friendship or relationship with people and people in our own family. Maybe that, we meet all these different people. We can meet people everywhere on the spectrum, from our brothers, sisters, mom, dads, extended relatives, schoolmates, junior high, high school, college, after college, all these workplaces. We go on that journey since we were children to go out in the world. And it's all to help us kind of get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't, and make some of these decisions in our life about what we think is just and fair and how we're going to live our life. And if some people could have decided that they were never going to let their more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play in the world. Kind of with the tunnel card kind of reminds me of Virgo, because Virgo talks about doing this inner work and working through those things that manipulate us, and hopefully to emotionally learn to love and believe in ourselves, kind of get balanced with this. The Sith card says Libra on it, which is represented by the scales of justice. We do have our more immature, worldly, egoic nature. We also have our more emotionally intuitive, loving, creative, inspired nature. Are we going to get balance between the two? In our more egoic nature and our loving nature, are we going to get balanced within ourselves to like be good parents to ourselves, stand up for our own loving, creative, inspired nature, to be willing to go on this journey in life and emotionally grow and mature ourselves and kind of self-discipline ourselves? And some people could have decided, nope, I'm not doing that. And they can decide, it's kind of like wearing a false mask, letting their ego run their life. But to just try to create the illusion that they're more just and fair and balanced than they are. And that can kind of be a shadowy Libra energy that anyone can harness, where it's trying to present yourself in the world as being this more stable, balanced person so that people will want to be in friendship and relationship with you. But it is kind of more strategy of still living more from the mind than the heart. And, you know, so that's where it's more of like a calculated strategy. I am going to present myself like I'm motivated and inspired by love. Shadowy people could tell themselves this. I've known people who are more just and fair and loving. They could have grown up with people who are more just and fair and loving, been in friendships and relationships with people who are. But eventually, again, some of those relationships that were friendships and romantic, some of those could have ended in the death card because the other people were wanted to keep moving forward in life, keep healing and growing and maturing themselves. But the people who are just creating an illusion, if they're already kind of faking the level they're at, like I'm a more balanced and just and fair and motivated by love kind of person. Oh, but by the way, I never want to give birth to anything new. Oh, by the way, I have this way of living life or viewing life, and that's as far as I go. If it would require me to emotionally grow and mature myself, male or female, to align with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and maybe let my more hopeful, believing, loving nature come out to play, where I would have to come out behind my self-protected, defensive nature, egoic nature. No, I'm not doing that. And that's when some relationships end, and a shadowy Scorpio relationship can be where people feel like it is more emotionally shallow and superficial. But it takes time to get to know people to kind of realize that. And some people could start to realize that I think the other person is in it more wanting to be in the relationship, can like relationships, can like the people, but it is kind of more for the stability, the security, the status, the image, look like they have what other people have in the world, but not really willing to be more authentic, come out from behind their ego, be invested in it because of love. And so then in the fortune teller, I kind of view that as them listening more to their shadowy nature. But sometimes shadowy people can decide, well, I maybe haven't learned to love myself. I might be more defensive. I'm not more willing to be more balanced or loving and giving of myself. But I like to be in relationships with people who are like that. I like to be in relationships with other people who have freed themselves from their more self-protective, defensive, living more from their mind than their heart. I like being in relationships with people who are very abundant in love. And people who are motivated and inspired by love, it doesn't mean with everyone in their life, with other people in the world, they just treat them like people in the world, maybe in a just and fair, kind of motivated by love kind of way, loving and encouraging people. But with the people they are in a more involved relationship with, they can really freely give of themselves because They know how to fill their own cup emotionally. And they have love to spare, you know, and are driven and motivated by love. And then shadowy people can like to be in a relationship with people like that. It's like being in the energy of the sun versus being around people who are a little bit more of a black cloud. And we can really thrive in those kind of environments. Just like if you've ever worked for people where either your coworkers or your boss is kind of like a dark cloud. It's just like, oh my gosh, you like to be around people who are more encouraging and supportive and emotionally mature and loving and giving. Well, shadowy people like to be in a relationship with people like that too. They're just not that kind of person. And then they hope that because the people in their life, friends or family or romantic, have love for them, that they'll let them move forward with them in a relationship, even though that's not their truth. More about who they are. Well, yeah, if it's friends or family members, we can have people we've known and meet. Can we be in friendship and relationship with them? The Ten of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles can represent all these kind of, and Taurus, all these different institutions of the world that we belong to. Can we have people in our family that we would like them to keep moving forward in our life and be a part of our life? Maybe don't necessarily hang out. We could hang out with some of them more so than others. Some we only see on holidays. Some, we see here and there. Can we know all these different people in our life that we can kind of get along with? It's easier to get along with people, regardless of what type of person they really might be, if they're able to maintain some balance within themselves to work together with people more cooperatively. It's easier to, and with some of the people, we don't really care. You can go do whatever you want to do. I don't care if you do this or that to these extremes every day of your life when you're not around me, because I'm not involved in your life that way. So long as you can kind of maintain balance and, work cooperatively in whatever environment I might know you, then that's fine. But some people want to do that in a romantic relationship also. Well, that can end up being a problem. And we can all get in more mismatched relationships. We can kind of hope that they'll change. They can hope that we'll change. And we can move forward in it quite a while. But eventually, we kind of, if it's going to be a more invested relationship, we kind of tend to want to invest more of our, and the Pentacles can talk about, and this emotionally can talk about the people that we want to invest more time and energy with and time with could be people who we think are more on the same page as us. So if we feel like someone isn't really more inspired by love, and we might think, we're going to go want to hang out with the people who we think are more motivated and inspired by love, not the people who want to be in friendship and relationship with us more for our status or image or social clout or looks or whatever, right? Let them go find someone else to be in a relationship with for those reasons. I'm looking for someone who wants to be in a relationship with me to be just and fair, but if I'm going to more emotionally invest in them, I would like there to be a more, where everyone kind of hopefully inspired by love to have a desire to keep maintaining balance in the relationship. Everybody willing to kind of grow and heal and mature themselves because they emotionally love the relationship or the friendship, and they think see the truth. Virgo's about seeing the truth, and I mentioned the Queen of Pentacles in high vibe can be about the truth. That inspired authentically to be more just and fair and loving and encouraging and supportive, not for these more codependent or worldly reasons, but because out of love for each other. And for some people, that's not their truth. And that's why some people got out of relationships with them. Let's go see what this card is that's not showing itself. The Lilies, which is Capricorn energy. And this card here, which reminds me of Virgo energy. On the card, though, it says Capricorn. Capricorn, like Virgo, and the ring card says Taurus. Those are the three earth sign energies. And we all can want these friendships and relationships and jobs and these things we want to pursue kind of in the world. And we're human beings who like to have friendship and relationships and want stability and security. So we'd like people to maybe view us a certain way and like us and want to work together with us. But we could do that all from a more motivated and inspired by these more, in our three earth sign energies, being more inspired in our Sagittarius fire sign energy to want to have those things, but be more inspired to get in them, stay in them, and invest in them more because of these reasons of the world. Not because we maybe like the job, maybe not because we like those people, but it's good for my ego and my image. It's good for my status. It's good in having a certain image in the world. And for some people, all those reasons are the driving factor. And it's not love. Well, to each their own, you know. Some people get in professions and careers that they hate. And they don't give a damn. I'm going to keep doing that job as long as they keep giving me the paycheck. And other people, how don't have the tolerance for it. It's like, oh my gosh, high vibe energy is, I want a more balanced life. I want to work in a job that I like. That's kind of fits me and maybe my personality and my unique talent, skills, and interests. If I'm in a profession or a job that every day it's like, oh my God, I hate this job. Oh my gosh, if you've ever been in one of those, it's like every minute ticking by is like torture and drudgery. And again, some people could be in something that's dead. Jobs, friendships, relationships, absolutely no interest in it, no joy in it. But because it gets them these things of the world that they want, they'll stay in it. And other people are like, when you have free will, which is what Gemini talks about, when you pick one thing, you're sacrificing something else. And some people are willing to make those sacrifices and other people aren't. And that's their free will choice. Depending on their fear, their insecurities, their codependency, they're more, if it's to indulge someone, that can be shadowy Sagittarius. Some people, if they can't find someone to indulge them, that's a shadowy Taurus view of relationships. It's not just and fair. Whoever has more look, status, image, money, social clout, attractiveness, whatever, that can be some people's philosophy of life, of how they view relationships. A very hierarchical, worldly view of life. And if they think they have more of those things with people they're in a relationship with, even with neighbors and coworkers, they kind of think they should be the more deferred to person and should be able to get away. Maybe, the photograph kind of reminds me of Scorpio energy, kind of like the death card has Scorpio in it also, where people think they should be able to repeat some of these poor past patterns and that people should kind of indulge them in it. Well, I have more of this than you, and because of that, and with my philosophy of life that I have and the way I interact with people, then you should be willing to more indulge me. And some people who that's not their view of life, and it isn't my more hierarchical, you could know people and it's like, I don't know you well enough to even know what your status or image is and how you get along with other people in your life. And if you want to do that, say in your personal life with your friend groups, but you're at work, yeah, no, that's not going to play here. And that can really bother those people, especially if they're kind of used to, for some reason, being more deferred to in their personal life. They cannot like it that at work, more people don't maybe know that, and they could try to express that to people so that people know they have a certain status or image or more deferred to. Or with their friend group, they're able to be more immature or bossy or controlling. They cannot like at a workplace where they can't be more immature or bossy or controlling, right? And as people kind of get to know people, as they could wonder, why are these people kind of acting like that? Why, it's easy to see with the more immature, bossy, or stubborn people. The people who kind of could be a little cool and kind of defensive, that could be like death to really kind of more investing in people. You could wonder what's their deal? And it could be because they don't like those kind of relationships. That's not really how they live their life. And if they are kind of more indulged kind of in their ego, because they might, maybe again, just because of their looks or their social clout or their status in their community or something, those are the kind of relationships they like. And they don't really, and don't even have an interest in really investing in ones that really would require them to just get along with people and be more just and fair, because they really like it more when they're deferred to in some way, right? And the people who can't relate to that way of thinking, because high vibe Taurus is that you emotionally grow and mature yourself, learn these lessons in life, keep shedding old layers of yourself, keep giving birth to these new versions of yourself. I was 15, I was 18, I was 21, I was 25. I kind of shed some of those more immature ways of being. And I kind of keep growing and maturing myself. And I just don't have that kind of philosophy of life, other people could say. Can you appreciate people when you meet them? Like, wow, you're really attractive or pretty. Does that mean I'm going to more defer to you because of that? If you tell me about all your social clout that you have, or this wonderful life you have, is, you know, maybe if I wanted to be someone's friend, um, I don't know, if they kind of convey and give the impression, and you kind of, that's like high vibe listening to your intuition, the fortune teller, that these people kind of remind me of some other people I've known, and that's not my thing, and I don't really care to be in a relationship with people who seem to, like, if you don't quit, it's like, if you don't quit loving yourself and investing in yourself and do a shadowy Taurus relationship, a more transactional type relationship, and indulge me in this way, or let me treat you this way, be more immature, whatever, or be willing to give up truth and love and make it more about me or these things of the world, some of those people don't have any interest being in a relationship with you. And that's kind of, you know, we can all be motivated by these things of the world. Capricorn can kind of talk about, we'd like to have victory and success in our life, and we have different ways. And that's, with this being a Capricorn card and not showing itself, is that with some people in your life, you harness, in addition to your Sagittarius energy, your Capricorn energy differently, of what you view as victorious and successful. You're less tilted in favor of wanting to be in relationship or friendship for more of these worldly reasons. You and some other people in the world are more tilted in favor of wanting to be in relationships more for truth and love and justice and fairness and getting to know each other and enjoy each other's company and be loving and encouraging people to each other. To keep growing and healing and maturing yourself. And working through these issues and keep freeing yourself from other things in your life. And some people, again, they have no interest in doing that. So if you're kind of wondering if there was some people that you meet in your life, and if you have communicated or kind of subtly tried to convey, that maybe some people you would be interested in getting to know them better or reconnecting with them in some way, if it's someone you already knew, wondering why some people in your life didn't want to stay more in a friendship or relationship, it can be because they don't want to give birth to something new. They know your truth. You might not know their truth, but they know their truth. I mean, some of those people, if it is someone you've known before, you and other people could have fond memories about each other, but maybe at some point in time in your life, those relationships ended. Well, when those relationships, and we don't keep staying more invested in those friendships and relationships, maybe because we were kind of motivated and inspired by different things, had our own lessons to learn, had our own things that interested us that we wanted to invest time, energy, and effort into, just going on our own journey. Well, then, if at some future point in time people did want to reconnect, it is possible with some people in our life we can reconnect with if everybody is willing to deal with the truth and accept the truth, get out of their ego about it, see where we all could have had some healing, growing, and maturing to do. We could have been motivated and inspired by different things at different times. With some of the people, it isn't that we, especially if it's friends, it isn't that we didn't maybe like them or appreciate them. But, again, if we have certain things that we like to do and hobbies and activities, we're going to invest more of our time, energy, and effort into the people who kind of are more on that same page and interested in some of the same things as we are. And it can be too bad that we kind of lose touch with some people. And if we come into contact with those people, could we be willing to get back in some friendship and relationships with those people, even if it's just through Facebook? Sagittarius can kind of reference through the internet and stuff like that. Sure, it's nice. Again, it's kind of the amount of maybe involvement that's appropriate for the relationship and the different interests that we have. But you can still be loving and encouraging people in people's lives. If it's a more romantic relationship, I think if everybody's kind of healed and grown and matured themselves and is being truthful, Libra and these two cards can talk about the truth. And if everybody is willing to, I keep not talking about Capricorn in a way that we can all have been more motivated and inspired by the world and these things we were caught up in at different times in our life. We could have been in different friendships and relationships with other people where we didn't get more involved in friendships and relationships with some people. We could have gotten out of some friendships and relationships with some people because we could have been drawn and attracted to certain people and relationships didn't work out. And then later, maybe we could kind of wonder if we're more on the same page now. High vibe shadowy Capricorn is kind of more represented by the devil. We're being more caught up for these reasons of the world. And if anybody kind of wants to come back into some people's lives, the people who have high vibe Capricorn have freed themselves from being more motivated and inspired more by these things of the world and more motivated and inspired by truth and love, not more like lust or something, or fear and codependency. If you communicated that truth to some people and some of those people realize, oh shit, like if you were the same person you were back in the day, I would definitely get in a relationship with you. But oh, that doesn't seem to be the type of person you are anymore. You seem to have healed or grown or matured yourself, or you're not indulging in these things like you used to indulge in certain things, which we had a blast doing, or I thought we could do that again, or I thought you would be more about wanting to be in a relationship more for the status or the ego or the image of it. Um, and you don't seem to, that doesn't seem to be the driving factor. You seem to be more emotionally mature, male or female, and you seem to want a more just, fair, balanced relationship, which really could have been part of the reason secretly why some of the other people didn't maybe keep staying in it or keep pursuing it at some other point in time. And I think, as you're moving forward, listening to your intuition about the different people you meet, getting to know people, as you emotionally invest in maintaining balance within yourself, loving yourself, so you get out of more codependent energy. In shadowy energy of like shadowy Leo ego, you can be more codependent in a more high vibrational energy of free will aligning with your more hopeful, believing, loving nature of Leo. It is kind of, I just view Leo as kind of giving in high vibe, it's kind of giving yourself what you wish other people would have given you, and dealing with the truth, the sun kind of illuminating the truth, that I've made peace with some issues in my past. I've offered truth and love and compassion to myself for me being a fallible human being who's made mistakes. I've offered it in general to other people in my life, that they're at where they're at and we're where they were at. And I've learned these kind of lessons, and I've gotten more clear about my truth and my philosophy of life and what I think is just and fair, and the types of friendships and relationships I want to be in, and what I want to kind of more invest my time, energy, and effort into. And it isn't more about being more codependent or more about the ego and the image of it and all that stuff. If it's not based on truth and love and being just and fair and everybody willing to be just and fair, willing to change, willing to emotionally grow and mature themselves and be in it more for love, then I don't have an interest in being in it, is what I think the more high vibe people would be saying. And what we might not know about some people with the Capricorn card not showing itself here, this Capricorn is like, not having been illuminated to the truth, people still motivated and inspired more in their worldly nature. When other people could meet people, some people, shadowy people are always looking for someone to indulge themselves in a relationship with. Want to be the next shadowy person in a high vibe person's life for that person to indulge them. And the high vibe people don't want to repeat that pattern anymore. And they've probably already distanced themselves from some people in their life that had wanted them to keep indulging them in a relationship. And it was never becoming more just and fair. And so they've already distanced themselves from those people, some people in their life who are like that. But then they can meet other people in the world, and those people don't know that some of the high vibe people have transformed their life, is kind of what the Scorpio death card talks about. They're less manipulated in their more worldly nature. They transform their Capricorn energy. Now what they view as victorious and successful is more Virgo self-awareness, self-insight, maturity, emotional maturity, balance, justice, love. And some people, more worldly, shadowy people in any of the more high vibe people's life, could not understand also why some of those people, because some of those people could be chasing after them, trying to get them to get in a relationship with them. That can be shadowy Sagittarius is chasing after people. Kind of like, hey, I'd be willing to indulge you. And the high vibe people are like, I never wanted someone to indulge me. High vibe people don't want someone to indulge them. And they're like, you don't, but I know all these other people who do, and I'd be willing to get out of this friendship or relationship to indulge you. I was like, I don't want someone to indulge me. And I also, shadowy Sagittarius can be that people are more immature. Again, more motivated and inspired for all these more worldly, shadowy reasons. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who that's the reason why they want to be in a relationship with me, is they're more motivated by those reasons. If you haven't kind of closed out that phase of your life, because the tens, and this reminds me of the Ten of Pentacles, is about closing out a cycle, putting a death to wanting to be in friendship and relationships more for those reasons. Then it's like, I wish you peace and love, but that's not my truth. And other people in their life can maybe not understand it. Why aren't they seeming to want to get in a relationship with me? You know, and just like you could wonder why you could have communicated your truth to some people. I don't think you would have been chasing after them. And then it's like, well, if that's not their truth, that's not their truth. Or if I tried to connect with someone and, oh, they've moved forward in a different relationship, or they're already in a relationship and they are high vibe people, well, then I guess they're going to be a good role model for me. And I get out of my ego about it. I accept the truth of it, that I won't be able to get in a relationship with that person, even if they are a high vibe person, because they're in a relationship with someone else. Okay. Then I close out that cycle of thinking I can get justice there and keep investing in my truth, keep moving forward in my life and that person can just be a good role model in my life. Just like other people can be a shadowy role model in my life, you know? And I think some shadowy people in the world are probably right now got their eye on someone. And if that person's more high vibe, some of those more high vibe people could be starting to see the truth that these people really aren't motivated and inspired by love, that it's the illusion of love. Some of those people could be getting out of it, or some of them will stay. Maybe they're willing to be in a more mismatched relationship for their own reasons. Well, that's their free will choice. Everybody has the free will to kind of manifest what they want to manifest. The people who got out of jobs, friendships, and relationships with people who they felt like it was more mismatched or manipulative or whatever, they made their decision that they didn't want to stay in it, that they couldn't do that. If other people decide to do that and it's not really their truth, well, then that's up to them. Just like somebody staying in a job with a bad boss or bad coworkers. Hey, teach your own. That's not my truth. And some people are okay with just creating the illusion. And if people who are more caught up in just doing the illusion, because maybe neither one of them really want to do love, and they are more emotionally invested in getting in relationships and staying in relationships more for these worldly reasons, then they're a balanced relationship. They're on the same page. You know, or maybe, you know, sometimes some people try to get in relationships with people that are maybe more mature, stable than them, when really they need to be in a relationship with someone who's kind of on the same emotional maturity level as them, but they always might try to hide the truth of who they are and want to kind of look like they're more stable and grounded and mature, and then they get in a more mismatched relationship. Those relationships cannot work out. And, you know, if they end up getting in a relationship or meeting someone that's more on the same emotional maturity level that they are at the same time, you know, live your authentic life instead of kind of trying to hide the truth of who you are and maybe some of the ways you'd really like to behave or conduct yourself. And if they do get in a relationship with someone who seems to be more on that same page, they could move forward with those people. And again, the people where they were in a more mismatched relationship have kind of probably freed themselves from it and gotten out of their ego about it already because they saw the truth that it was more mismatched. What they view as and what they want to invest in and view as victorious and successful is different, and kind of their idea of what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into, and kind of their idea of what they think is just and fair can be different. And everybody in relationship to other people, it's always easier for us to see the truth kind of if we could see where other people are more stubborn or bossy or immature or controlling or full of themselves or something, or more driven by these things of the world than we could be at any given time. But so you could move away from some people because of those reasons. Those people in turn could move away from people for those reasons. Those people in turn could move away. But it's kind of trying to find someone where it is kind of the right mix. And that's kind of also how I kind of view the Ten of Pentacles. Can we meet people that, in a lot of ways, well, it's just this mix. I kind of refer to it as like a cookie recipe. Can people, can some of the people in our life be just and fair and loving and encouraging people, and we like them, but we don't want to get in a more involved friendship or relationship with them? Yes. And part of it, what is it that makes up that special mix that seems to align with us in our truth? And that could kind of be that magical kind of component that does kind of draw and attract us to certain people. And again, I think not everybody we're drawn and attracted to should we get in a relationship if they show us from the get-go that they have some ways of being about them that we already know, we have seen the truth of, that we don't care for. That's not my truth. Or I know I really maybe like to do these things and these things. This is a part of the mix of my life. That doesn't seem to be part of the mix of your life. And I want to be in friendship and relationship with people where that is part of their mix. So, say some people are very much in a thing of physical fitness, say, and golfing, but they know someone else who they could view as a lovely person, but that isn't an part of the mix of your life. And that could be a very important part. So when it's kind of like the cookie recipe, some people want 2 scoops of this, 1 cup of that, 1 teaspoon of this, and other people's mix is different. And we kind of want to be in a relationship with people where it does kind of seem to be the right mix. And if we've been in relationships where it was more not close to kind of being the same to a degree, if those things are important to you and you really would like those things to be a part of your life and have a partner in your life who enjoys doing those things too, or invest in more friendships with people who are more into whatever those things could be. Some people could not get more involved with some people. People could do that with you. You could do that to certain people. Could you think they're lovely people, nice people? But again, I kind of have the mix of things I like in my life. I don't think that's part of maybe getting to know them, that's kind of more of a mix, and they might like to do some things that are just different and completely different lives, or people could feel that some of the things that people do isn't kind of going to move their life forward in a way that other people could feel like the things that they're going to do are going to move their life forward. People can have more healthier lifestyle choices in things they indulge in or whatever than other people to different degrees. And then there could be people who see people that are like, I think that is someone who's more on the same page as me. And some of those people might have to do some of this work within themselves, or you might have to kind of work through reconciling through some issues of your past that would maybe stop you from more taking action towards someone who does seem to be more on the same page, or other people could feel that way towards you. But while some people could be doing that work within themselves, other people are going to keep moving forward in their truth. They might not even know that some people are interested in them. And if some people don't do this work and kind of free themselves and bring something, the Pentacles can talk about bringing something into the 3D world. If they don't let, some people know, those could be missed opportunities. It's like throughout our life, we're also given these opportunities to work through those issues within ourselves, to free ourselves from them, to go on that new journey in life. And some people in life, and we have all done this, where some of those opportunities, when we had the opportunity to get more balance within ourselves, grow and mature ourselves, and be in relationship with people who maybe were more just or fair or mature, those opportunities moved on, and sometimes those things stay. We never kind of get back on the same page again with some of those people. And it'll be new people who come along that when we're ready to move forward in that way, then we could have, and the opportunity is there again. Are we going to move forward, work through our fears, our insecurities, temper ourselves to work together with the people who, are more on that page, but we just have to do this work within ourselves. And some people have done that work within themselves. They've closed out this cycle. They are ready to go have this new beginning. And some people might always stay here because of some issues in their past or relationships they're involved in, whether it's friends or family. And it's kind of like, well, if those people don't move forward, then I'm not going to move forward. So again, could be a little more codependent on those people. And it's like, well, then other people that they had the opportunity to kind of work with to manifest that new beginning, those people are going to work with other people. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy? And other people, the people in your life that you are working with that are kind of going through this process with you, we've all had people in our life who kind of keep moving forward with us. And people could have people in their life right now that they're going through these stages of life together, going to a next phase of life. Some people could be getting married. Some people could be distancing themselves from certain habits, patterns, friend groups, workplaces to invest in kind of leaving behind a certain stage of life to move forward in the next stage of life. And the more worldly, shadowy people will probably keep doing life the way they've been doing it because the truth sets you free. And they might not want to see the truth if the truth requires them to emotionally kind of temper their ego and emotionally grow up and mature themselves, or learn some lesson in life, or make peace with some issues from their past, or quit indulging themselves, quit indulging other people, quit having a more shadowy philosophy about relationships, quit thinking people should indulge you, or quit being so caught up in trying to get other people to value and appreciate you. Value and appreciate yourself. Speak your truth in love. Be just. Be fair. And if people don't want to work together with you in that way, wish them peace. High vibe Virgo. Know your worth and value. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius that they might not see coming? Okay. The Four of Cups, the Ace of Pentacles, the Devil, and the Queen of Pentacles, just like this. And the reason is because of the Five of Swords. So the Five of Swords comes after the Four of Swords, which is Libra energy, which can be about healing from past pain and heartbreak. And kind of those stages of life where maybe we hadn't learned to love ourselves and we kind of weren't facing our fears. The devil can represent our fears. And where we hadn't emotionally grown and matured ourselves, or we were more codependent, or we were indulging other people who hadn't learned to love and believe in themselves. And it's kind of seeing the truth of it. I can offer truth and love to people. I can be an emotionally loving and encouraging person in people's life, whether I'm male or female. But I can't make other people see the truth if they don't want to see the truth. I can't make people take that cup of love to work through their own mental conflict or past pain and heartbreak or anything. I can't make other people face their fears and insecurities. I can't make other people emotionally grow and mature themselves. They have free will. And kind of seeing the truth of who isn't willing to do that might still want to be in a relationship with me. The devil can be that people can be attracted to you or codependent on you. It's like I'm willing to be a loving and encouraging person in all sorts of people's lives. You know, high vibe energy, being a good leader in the world, wanting other people to love and believe in themselves, but accepting the truth. If I indulge people to such a degree and I don't require them, more of them, or I get in a more involved relationship with them when they're still in more shadowy energy, then they could certainly maybe have no more incentive to change. And that is how some people live their life. Don't want to do truth and love, be just and fair, more about themselves in the world and trying to tempt people more with those things of the world. But don't you want these things of the world? Isn't that part of your dream? It's like, well, yeah, but if you're not over here and you haven't seen the truth of these things that kind of manipulate you, that make you act in certain ways or behave in certain ways, or, you know, some people are looking for someone to like mother them in a relationship, and that is their philosophy of life. I shouldn't have to grow up and mature myself. You're a loving person. You're supposed to, that's your job. You're supposed to love me. It's like, no, you're supposed to learn to love yourself. Other people can be loving, but if you haven't learned to love yourself, then for one, in shadowy energy, you could be jealous and envious and competitive and prideful and not like that I love myself. If you haven't worked through the things that have caused you pain and heartbreak, again, you could be mad that I did work through some of those things. Well, that takes work and effort. That's Virgo energy. I did the inner work to love and believe in myself and offer truth and love to these situations in my life to get past them and get to the other side so those things don't manipulate me that way anymore. And they're like, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that work. You should just be in a relationship with me anyway. It's like, well, no, because those things are going to keep manipulating you. As long as those things keep manipulating you, then we're not on the same page because those things don't manipulate me that way. Or so long as you're more about yourself or the world or your fear or your insecurity or your jealousy or your envy or whatever. And though I could be sad and it could cause me mental conflict, the Five of Swords is Aquarius energy. I had this dream I wanted to bring into reality. But part of my dream is for me to do that work within myself, to quit letting my more worldly nature and other people in my life or people from my past that were unjust and unfair and unloving or something keep me in this state of mental conflict and not loving and believing in myself. I just accept the truth that some of those people weren't very just or fair or loving. And I face my fears to keep investing in taking that cup of love, healing, and I keep facing my fears and I keep moving forward. And I'm looking for other people who want to do that. So the fives can talk about change as people go through this process within themselves and they keep kind of focusing, that's high vibe Aquarius, focusing on the big picture, keeping things in perspective, not getting all up in their head, not, they keep putting in this work and effort. Taurus, putting in work and effort to keep looking to the future, keep looking to the light, keep aligning with love, staying in an energy of love, offering peace and love to yourself and people in your life, but continuing to put in the work to maintain balance within yourself. I am not going to repeat some of these patterns. I've already been there and done that. And if there's people in my life that want to keep doing that kind of relationship dynamic, I don't want to do that dynamic. It has to get more just and fair. It has to be more balanced. It has to be more inspired by truth and love. And if it's not, I'm going to keep my distance from those people. And some of them completely cut them out of my life. And when people do that and they go on that journey, by the time it's all done and over, they have changed. They're not the same person that they were before. Some of the things that used to drive and motivate them, some of the things they used to look to be the answer, to feel victorious and successful in themselves, or people they wanted to be in friendship or relationships or workplaces that at one time they viewed as victorious and successful, they don't anymore because they kind of did work through the illusion of it. My dream could never come into reality with people who aren't more inspired by truth and love if I'm motivated by truth and love. If what they're more motivated is to conform to the world, be in a more codependent relationship, be in a relationship for more of these worldly reasons, want me to mother them, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who wants me to mother them and doesn't want to grow up and mature themselves emotionally and take responsibility for doing that within themselves. Then it would be two independent people in high vibe that know how to do that within themselves. So then it's two high vibe people who respect each other as individuals and can be in a relationship with people and they're not thinking, because some of the shadowy people, they could look to other people to get in a relationship with, to indulge in, like other people could indulge like in drugs or alcohol. But then their issues bubble up and then they think, oh, well, you're not the answer. And it's like, I never was the answer. You are the only one who's the answer to your problems. I can't make you work through these things that cause you all this mental conflict, or not loving yourself, or letting all these things manipulate you. All those things are going to keep manipulating. People can only be a loving and encouraging and supportive person in your life until you deal with those things within yourself and work through them. Those things are always going to, it doesn't matter who you're in a relationship with. But some people, that's how they think. No. All those things would magically go away and all those things wouldn't be a problem anymore. I need to go find the right person. You must not be the right person. I need to go find someone else. Because they're codependent and looking for someone else and something outside of them to be the answer. And the answer lies within themselves emotionally. They just don't know it. And you learned that lesson. You healed. You offer truth and love to your own shadowy energy every day so your more worldly shadowy energy doesn't end up getting in the driver's seat of your life. You play that loving, nurturing, supportive role to yourself to keep moving forward in a stable, grounded, balanced, loving way. And the other people could have a problem doing that, and they want someone else to do that for them, or they just keep indulging their more immature worldly nature. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy people they might not see coming? The Eight of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords. And the reason is because of the Fool card. Something they don't ever do is something that high vibe people have done. Anybody who's more kind of tempered, emotionally mature, stable and grounded than some, and have learned some of these lessons than some other people in the world, those people in their fire sign energy, this is generally associated with Aries, but it also has some Aquarius and Pisces energy, because all three kind of have to do with our dreams that we have for ourselves. The other people put in work and effort and get inspired to put in work and effort to work through some of their fears and insecurities that keep them repeating an old pattern over and over. You know, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and it keeps ending up, you're in this energy. Well, some people want to get to the truth. The Eight of Pentacles is Virgo. What the fuck? What am I missing here? And so some people do that work, and part of it could be that people weren't listening to their intuition. Because to close out a cycle from the Eight of Swords to go to the Ten of Swords, you got to work through the Two of Swords, which is Libra energy. I keep repeating a pattern. Am I getting in more imbalanced relationships that aren't more just and fair? They have different ways of viewing life that they think are just and fair that I don't think is just and fair. Am I not listening to my intuition? Am I being more manipulated by my worldly nature and my want for these things of the world? And eventually people get tired of doing that and they get inspired to work through it. And they do, because at the end they come out with the truth. At the end of the Ten of Swords, you come out with the Ace of Swords. And they don't want to keep repeating that pattern. Some people are used to people kind of indulging them, and they keep thinking people will keep indulging them like forever. Maybe because they know those people have love for them. Well, again, friends, family, romantic interests. Yeah, people can have love for people. Could have known them all their life, maybe since they were children. But if I keep seeing people keep repeating a pattern over and over, that they never really seem to kind of actually do what they give the impression they're going to do, well, some other people might not want to be a part of that anymore. And some of the people could just say, you know what? I accept it. This is how you want to live your life. You go enjoy your life. Wish you peace and love. Again, people could invest in people hoping to kind of keep them on the straight and narrow in a way. And it's like, I'm done. You're going to go do what you got to do. And some people got to go learn some lessons the hard way, like the rest of us did at times in our life. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to let you go do that. I've offered truth and love and encouragement. I can't make other people see the truth. And sometimes the only way people are going to see the truth is, which we could, from our own experience, like, you're going to get burned doing that. That is not going to work out the way you think. You could drag your life down into the ditch and into hell. Been there. And, sometimes it's kind of like people having to hit rock bottom. And then if people do hit some rock bottom, are they going to kind of work through some of those issues and dig themselves back out? Or are they not? So I think they're always surprised that some of the more high vibrational people in their life eventually are going to move on. And the people in their life who also have their fears of kind of moving forward in life any differently, they're going to keep living their life that way, so they'll repeat a pattern. While other people are going on to the next level of the video game of life to face their fears and insecurities, just like when you play a video game, you have to overcome these obstacles and challenges. Some people are really fearful of going to that next stage of life because, again, it's kind of like unknown territory. And they let that fear or getting up in their head make them keep repeating the same pattern, the same level of the video game over and over. And while they're doing that, other people are moving forward in life a little differently. And for some people who keep not wanting to see the truth, they'll have a pattern keep repeating over and over. Or maybe there's someone who indulges people and then they get in a relationship and other people, we can get in relationships with other people who are happy we are where we're at because that's where they're at. And then they want us to stay there. Don't want us to change or heal or grow and mature ourselves either. Are you more caught up in this? Me too. Let's stay caught up in this. Do you make your life more about this? Me too. Let's keep making that more about what our life is. Sometimes the people who are unwilling to change when they had the opportunity to work through some of these issues, they in turn could be someone who thinks, well, I don't need to change. It's the other people who need to change. And if people change too much, then I don't want to be in a relationship with them. I'll go find someone else and maybe someone else who needs to change. But then they could get in a relationship with other people who don't want to change. You're either both willing to work through these issues that you individually have, to put in this work and effort to work through those issues together, or you're hoping to get in a relationship maybe with someone else, either who won't require it of you, hope someone else will just go to this stage of life and then we'll just sit there and we won't ever heal and grow and mature ourselves anymore. But other people, I don't know. You shouldn't expect other people to do what you're not willing to do yourself. And some people don't want to be just and fair. Some people want to be immature. Some people want to be indulged. Some people want to be bossy and controlling. Some people want it all about them. The more shadowy some people are, the harder it could be to find someone who's willing to indulge them in a relationship. And if they're more caught up by these things of the world, it can be to get in a relationship for these reasons of the world, but then the person they're in a relationship is like, oh, well, maybe I could go find someone else with more status, more image, more money, or more willing to indulge me, or requiring less of me, or whatever. But I think if we're not willing to do the work and effort to heal, I think people kind of built into the system, they will be drawn and attracted to getting in relationships with, and it's kind of what they're manifesting, getting in relationships with people who also don't want them to heal and grow and mature themselves. And really, in a way, don't have their best interests to a degree. Don't want them to free themselves from things that manipulate them, because they have their own things that manipulate them. And it could just be being in a relationship where you're more inspired by the world, living more from your mind than your heart, indulging in what you indulge in or make your life about. And other people had mental conflict about continuing to make their life about that. And they're more motivated and inspired by love. But to each their own. So there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.